All right, guys, thank you all so much for joining. We're gonna do a little panel discussion on COVID-19, the wedding industry in Pittsburgh, how it has affected us as vendors, and kind of what we can do and what we're doing for our clients so they can still have an amazing wedding, amazing events, and just kind of like from our experience, how you can pivot, how you can, still make it awesome. So let's go around the Zoom and introduce everybody. Heather, why don't we start with you?
Sure. Hey, everyone. My name is Heather Davis. I am the owner of Day of Pittsburgh. We specialize in day of wedding coordination and planning in and around the city.
Rachel?
Oh,
That's it.
I think the squares are placed differently everywhere. I was waiting for one. Hi, I'm Rachel of Rachel Rowland Photography, specializing in weddings and events.
I love it.
I take pictures of them.
Hi, I'm Melissa Crawford from Devoted to You, and we do wedding planning, anything from full planning down to day of coordination for people in and around Pittsburgh.
Fantastic. And I'm Michael Will, photographer also in Pittsburgh, and just happy to be here with all of you today. So thank you. All right, so I guess first question, we'll just get right into it. Obviously, COVID-19 is ruining everything. So what have you guys been telling your brides, or if they're asking, do I have to move my date? What kind of advice do you have for them? What are their options, I guess? What does that kind of look like?
So I've kind of tested a few different ways depending on the stage and the date that the client is at. So like in April, basically when Heinz Chapel went dark, I was kind of trying to get on my May brides and be like, you should consider postponing, and here's why. And some of them weren't ready to have that conversation, and I didn't realize how aggressive that came off. So I was kind of just figuring out how I can match my energy with the stage that my clients were at, which was way more productive. And I learned that postponing is a really personal choice. Some people don't want to deal with that. They're in a little bit of denial. Others are like, let's do it. Let's go for September. Like, I'm open to Fridays, like super flexible. And others are like, well, we'll talk about it, but I'm not ready to make any decisions. So
Also playing off of that, Heather, like considering what stage they are in planning also, because again, when this first went down, I had a May 23rd client, and whenever this first started happening, May was considerable. You know what I mean? But she's like a fast planning bride. And we still had to do a tasting with the caterer. We still had to meet with the florist. We still had to pick linens. She just hired me in January. But we had all of these things left to do. So while she still had time to decide whether or not she was going to postpone, I kind of advised her that considering where she was and all the things we still needed to do and how everything was on hold, that I thought it would be better for her to postpone so that we had time to do these things. Because even if everything opened up by May 23rd and things could happen, if it only opened up on May 10th, that would give us 13 days to do all these big things that needed to happen still. Yeah. So, but then on the other end, if I have a client who's pretty much done, they have a little bit more time before needing to make that final decision. So,
for sure.
For me, I'm not a planner, but I am a photographer, and a big part of my business is just like being very involved with my clients, and communication is big with me. The biggest thing I did was I kind of like formulated a mass email because again, I'm not a planner. Not all of my brides had planners, but I know that they'd all want to hear from me, I guess. And I was like, well, how can I approach this? Because I don't want them to think that I'm just like floating along, not thinking about it, waiting for them. I wanted to be there first. I wanted to contact them first, and not have them have to reach out to me and be like, hey, and then me be like, oh yeah, your wedding. Even though, to be completely honest, like I'm pregnant and I have my own kids and my husband is working, and like my life, also all of our lives were kind of also completely upended
Right.
during this, and it had just so many different layers for all of us personally, as well. But then on top of that, we kind of had to dig into what it meant for our businesses, which is kind of crazy. So we're like over here, I don't know, I'm going through like stages of grief. I'm crying, I'm freaking out, I'm wearing masks, I'm worried about my unborn child, I'm doing all these things, and then I'm like emailing friends like, hey, what's up? It's all great, everything's great. Like, but you know, and I chose to go with like more of a mass email for my clients, and I just laid out pretty much every option that I could have thought about at the moment, for them, like down to if I'm not sick and the law allows, I will be at your wedding. Like, that was the first thing, is like, if you choose to have your wedding and the law allows it and I am not sick, I will be there. I then told my clients like the steps I was taking to not get sick. I was like, I am not leaving my house for you. I mean, in actuality, it's just like something you had. I feel like just brides right now really needed to be reinforced with things like that, is to know that like, while, you know, there's all this going on in the world around and in our families and stuff too, that they are a huge part of our focus. And then I kind of just like went through what the options were for me if I was to reschedule, if they were to reschedule, like if I couldn't shoot, if they reschedule on a date I'm available, this is what happens. If they reschedule on a date I'm not available, this is what happens. Like, I want to work with you to, here are all, and I like list out all of my available dates for the rest of 2020, just so like, I sent them like one giant email, and then they could go relay that to their planner, to their DJ, and be able to kind of line up.
We appreciate that.
Well, my first thing, if there's a planner, like was to reach out to them. Like, I was reaching out to you, Melissa, and I think even you and I, Heather, chatted about one.
Yeah, we're not till August, so I still have hope.
Yeah, and brides, hire a planner.
I don't know how, like, and I'm not saying that this is because of it's what I do, but I don't know how anyone is doing this without a planner. I cannot imagine trying to tackle all of this unknown without someone who has an inside in this industry and is used to dealing with vendors, and you know, this is what we do. So I can't imagine being so emotionally involved, but then having to do all these logistical things that they didn't anticipate. So yes, hire a planner.
I agree.
I feel like right now it's kind of like you have to assess your own situation, where you are in the planning process. Like Melissa, like you said, like if you still have to do 100 different things, you may not be able to get those things done. I think also kind of knowing your own stress and anxiety level. Like some people, like I'm a procrastinator, so I'm okay waiting the last minute for certain things to make decisions. I'm like, we'll have more information. It'll be better. I'll be able to make a better decision. Yeah. Some people, like I've talked to brides who just are already so anxious about everything that the idea of having to wait longer, you know, at that point, it's not fun anymore.
Right.
And then Rachel, to your point, you know, right now I would say gather as much information as you can from all of your vendors. Yes. So kind of understand, hey, what, if you have a policy, what is it? You know, what's this going to look like? What are my options at least? So that way you can start thinking about it, processing it, and then kind of creating a best, medium, worst case scenario and kind of going from there. Siri is talking to me now. Weird. All right. Okay. So let's say a bride does have to move her date. For whatever reason, let's say it's government mandated. It's just, it looks like the stars aren't aligning. There's people from out of town. What do they do? What does that look like, having to move a date?
Venue.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Get the availability of your venue, and if you want to get married in 2020, you need to entertain the idea of a Friday or a Sunday wedding. I know that is totally like, it's such a cultural thing. Like, oh my God, a Friday wedding. But like, that's not, we're in a pandemic and you need to
I love Fridays.
Yeah, I love them because then I have Saturday off. I'm not taking double.
I love them because then I work Saturdays too. And
yeah. So I always say, let's email your venue, and they copy me. I get the dates and I say, talk to your fiance and your family, see what's best for you. Give me plan B and C. And then I say like, oh, I'm available or not or whatever. And then I say, tell me who your MVP vendors are. And they're always the photographer. They're always the caterer, the band, DJ. And then we basically see how many is available like on the ideal date. And then we kind of decide from there. That's basically how I've been doing it.
I'm a spreadsheet person. And so like we started, whenever that Monday after like the first stay at home 8-week order was put in, that was the craziest day of.
I agree.
I mean, it was wild. I spent 14 hours on the phone. But we kind of took the approach of emailing and calling like each couple's venue and vendors and seeing which day. So let me back up. We got dates from the couple first, like saying like which dates would you be amendable to moving your wedding to. So like they would give us 4 dates, and so then we would reach out to venue and vendors and see which of those 4 dates. And so we created a spreadsheet like chart, and then
I love this.
I'm crazy.
No, you're amazing.
So then from there, whichever date aligned with the majority of people is the date that we went with. So, and that seemed to have worked out well for our clients. So.
Yeah. What was the question again?
So if you have to reschedule, what do you do?
Okay. So, I mean, this is definitely more of a planner question, but from my perspective, my piece of advice would be to, again, pick your non-negotiables. Like these are the vendors I don't want to leave behind. Be flexible on the day, like Friday, Sunday, winter, early 2021. Winter weddings are beautiful.
They are.
They're amazing.
Wow.
They're gorgeous. You're just a little chilly. Grab a fur. Like I love winter weddings. Anytime I get a winter wedding inquiry, I just get so excited. It's really truly magical. And so if you really want a Saturday, like have a Saturday in January, have a Saturday in February. A few of my weddings, I have a wedding that moved to February, and she's getting married at the Carnegie Music Hall foyer, so we don't even have to go outside.
Gorgeous.
Inside all day. But so pick your non-negotiable vendors that you really, really don't want to lose, but also know you might lose 1 or 2 of them. Mm-hmm. You might. This is uncharted territory for everybody and all things, and I am one person.
Right.
Michael, you're one person. Melissa, you're a few. Heather, do you have a few?
I have 3 and then 2 in training, so I do have a little flexibility.
Yeah, there's only so many of us, and while we want to be everything to everybody, it's just not the reality this year. Like I've just said, 2020 has to be the year of flexibility and understanding and grace. And so like pick your MVPs, pick the people you want, and be flexible with date, be flexible with season. Nobody wanted this. This isn't us telling you to suck it up or anything like that. But this is us telling you that we can still help you make magic no matter when or where or how. You know what I mean? And to get kind of preconceived. I had so many plans for this year.
I know.
Like, I was gonna like freaking buy a freaking minivan cash. I was gonna extend out my deck. I was gonna hire a landscaper. And guess what? Guess what my one goal this year is? Don't file for bankruptcy. That is my goal. Like just go, like things just change, and it sucks that it was your wedding. And it sucks that it was my baby and my birth plan and how, all of these different things. But I just can't, like, there are just certain hills that I'm just not willing to die on. And I don't think that we should, like, I just don't think we should doomsday and end of the world this, because we can we can move on. So
and I was gonna say too, it's like we're all, it sucks when you're planning your wedding for so long to feel like you're compromising. You know, it's like, well, I didn't want a Friday. But I think, you know, kind of zooming out and looking at the big picture, we're all compromising. Like this is not plan A for any of us. And if you think about, you know, why you're getting married in the first place, you know, I mean, yeah, you want a sick party, but really it's, you want to get married and you want to be with your spouse and you want to make it official. And so you can change your Facebook status. And like, I mean, that's what it's really all about. So
yeah,
it's like, I mean, really,
married.
No one else got it. Thank you, Heather. I appreciate you. But like,
I got it.
You know, if you, I emailed my clients as well. And I was like, listen, like at the end of this, in a few years from now, heck, even next year, you'll just have a really great story to tell. So it's like, you know, at the end of the day, get married, even if it's a Friday or a Sunday, if it's a winter wedding, if it's less guests, you're still married. You have an awesome story now. Like, hey, we got married in the middle of a pandemic. And, you know, and I think too, it's like holding on to the dream, I think just kind of can hurt you. It's like, I want this to happen, but it's such a hill and so hard to make it happen that you'll be happier if you're just like, let's just get married. Let's do what we can with, you know, and just freaking make it happen, as opposed to trying to like, to hoist the dream up, you know, just all the energy and anxiety and extra finances just to make this thing happen. It's like you're forcing it, you know, whereas like just kind of, it happened to me. Like I had to grieve and accept that this year is not going to be my year. You know, like Rachel, I had goals, you know, I had ambition. I was like, we're going to do this and that. And it's like, you know, I just want to get through it. I, you know, still spend time with my family and, you know, just focus on what's really important. And so I think too, like, staying healthy.
Right.
You know, what you said, Rachel, about being, 2020 being the year of flexibility and grace. That's not only for our clients, that's for all of us too, I think. You know, it's, we are having to be more flexible than we ever have had to be. And brides and grooms are being reminded of what's really important when it comes down to their wedding. Like, Caitlin, who is our client, Rachel.
Yeah.
She did a podcast where she talked about having to cancel or reschedule her wedding.
What?
And what's that? Yeah, and it was, I cried during it because she was like, one of the questions that he asked her was, you know, how did you start to tell all of your guests? And she was like, you know, we just took the approach of first, like just mass text messaging people in groups and telling them. And he said, well, what was the response? And she said, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Everyone was so supportive. Everyone was so helpful. Everyone, she said, I was filled up with so much love and gratefulness for like the people that are here for us, that I am almost glad that this happened to us. I'm glad that we had to reschedule our wedding because it forced me to reground myself and remember what was important in this whole process. And it's not, you know, all the flowers while they're beautiful. It's not all the things that you put importance on. It's the people, you know what I mean? So like that is, I thought that was so profound. I know.
Yeah, I'm tearing up, Melissa.
Profound and so like, what a very like gracious approach to take to this whole thing, to be thankful that it happened to you. So anyways.
I'll get there.
That's good.
I'm not there yet.
I'm not there yet either. But I will say that I am trying to reground and reprioritize some things and slow down a bit, which is something that I haven't done in 8 years. So
hard. I hear you on that.
This is good, man. I like this.
Group therapy.
I'm with a bunch of crying women right now.
Mike's like,
Here-
okay.
No, you're good. All right. So let's say you've got your list of people. You want to make it happen. Is it going to cost more? What's it going to look like? What's that kind of like? How do you deal with that? I mean, can we expect to get out of this unscathed as a wedding couple, or?
Yeah. So while postponing for the couple is a personal choice, the decision on charging new contracts from a vendor perspective is also an extremely personal choice. Because I'm a planner, I've seen very different ways of vendors handling this, and I respect and honor everybody's way. Because Rachel, like you said, like you're one person, so you can't be at 3 weddings at once. But like someone like a florist or uplighting can take, 5, 6, 7 on a Saturday. It's not that big of a deal. So I've seen everything. Also, 2021, like if you're gonna do a June Saturday 2021 wedding, you're gonna be paying some rebooking fees, and that is just to ensure our survival until then. And what I'm doing, like I'll tell you right now, if you're pushing in 2021, I have a team. You might not get the same lead planner. You will get a planner. I'm not charging a fee, but I'm going to ask for 25% of the final half that you owed me anyways to reserve it, because I need some cash flow right now.
I'm doing sort of the same thing. Like I'm not charging an extra fee to move it. You can move it to wherever, but I also have, like, we can take 4 weddings in a day. If
like,
so I can't guarantee that it's going to be me, or it's going to be, Caitlin, or it's going to be Morgan, whomever you were promised to in the beginning, but you will have somebody, you will have a team of people there. We have very few blackout dates. But what I am doing is taking that final payment. So if their final payment was due on May 2nd, they still owe me 50% of that on May 2nd and 50% of it 2 weeks prior to their new wedding date. Because again, I still need cash flow. So, and everyone has been great with it. No one has had an issue with it.
Same.
So with me, again, I'm so different. This is crazy. I mean, just full disclosure, I'm hemorrhaging money right now. Like it is just gone. And this isn't just like gone and then coming back. Like my weddings are now downgrading to elopements. And when they're eloping, I'm not going to charge them their final fee because my elopement price is so much different than my full wedding package price. So if I we'll just talk about June right now. For me, June, I had 4 weddings in June. I have 0 weddings in June now. The first wedding moved to an elopement, and they're going to have a party sometime later, which means they owed me, I can talk real money. They owed me thousands and thousands of dollars that I will now never get. It's just gone. The next weekend, they're eloping, and they moved to a date that I'm not available. So I'm, again, losing final thousands and thousands of dollars. They're moving to a date I'm not available. I'm sending an associate, and I'm paying that associate to shoot the wedding, which means now I have to pay somebody. And so with them, I'm going to charge them a fee for my associate shooter to be there, on top of the non-refundable retainer. The following weekend, they're moving to February. And guess what? It's gonna be beautiful. I'm gonna be there. I'm not charging a dime of rescheduling fee. They've been so kind and so sweet. And then the following weekend, I think, is gone too. They rescheduled for a date that I'm not available. They didn't want my associate shooter, so they just I'm I struggle to say like real hard concrete numbers, but you can do the math. We're talking like upwards of $15,000 to $20,000 of planned income that I had to put food on my table, to feed my children, to pay my taxes, all of that is just like, poof, it's gone. Like it's gone. It's not coming back. It's gone. And some people have been a little bit more lucky than I have with like people being, you know, rescheduling and stuff. But my brides personally have just been like, you know what, let's just elope. Let's just have, and that's okay. But what I'm trying to get across is those non-refundable retainers that I took from them when they booked with me, that is what is sustaining my business right now, because I don't spend retainers when I get them. I keep them until the wedding. So the only reason I'm not out of business right now already in April of 2020 is because I kept those non-refundable retainers. Now, every client I've had so far has been absolutely amazing and understanding about the non-refundable retainer, because I've been very candid with them. I've been very honest. Like, I'm not like, I'm hemorrhaging money, help. But I'm like, this is a very hard time. Like, we in the industry are making gut-wrenching decisions every day. We are being pulled in a million directions. We are crying. We are sad. We are losing money left and right. And to ensure that there is a Rachel Rowland photography in 2021, I have to stick to the terms of my contract. I have, and that's so hard to say, because this sucks and it's nobody's fault. But we have, in many cases, pretty airtight contracts for a reason. Like, we're all prepared. I feel like everybody in our industry is prepared for like, an oh crap month. Where like a month blows up, or, you know, like a week or two, or a couple, you know, breaks up, or this or that, or I have an unplanned pregnancy. I'm having a baby in September. I had 5 weddings in September that I had to reschedule, or that I had to cancel and return money for already this year, because I had I'm having a baby that month, and I was prepared for that financially. But never in our wildest dreams would we think that we're having a no crap season, like an no crap year, no crap 3 to 4 months. No business plans for 4 to 5 to 6 months of just like income kind of gone.
And no matter how prepared you are, this is totally different. This is on another scale.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really prepare for this.
Well, so. and part of it too, even with rescheduling, and, you know, we try to be as flexible as we can. Like, you know, I know a lot of people can waive fees for maybe Fridays or Sundays to be accommodating.
Yeah.
But, you know, especially in our industry, like with Rachel and I, we can only work so many weekends a year, you know, just from like pure exhaustion versus just available dates. And so we make our money in 2 ways. We make retainers for people that book for the following year. So right now we would be making retainers for 2021 weddings, and then balances for the weddings this year. And so what's hard is when couples want to move to prime dates next year, is they're stopping income twice, basically. So it's like, you're not getting that income this year, and then you're taking away income that we could have the following year. And so even just charging another rebooking fee is still a loss for us, you know, small business owners, because it's not like, so even the rebooking fee is basically, it's just supplementing the income this year. We know it's going to be a hard year, but it's making next year not as hard, you know? So it's like, you know, that's why I think if you can consider, you know, hey, a Friday or Sunday, you can really help a lot of us out, you know, by still letting us have other dates next year. And the reality is too, even if we do Fridays and Sundays next year, you know, how many weddings can we do? You know, really.
Like, what bothers me about people like not understanding this, and no offense to Day of Pittsburgh or wedding planning, Michael and Rachel, like, you guys are some of the best in the business, and like, they hired you for you specifically. Like, anyone can coordinate a wedding day if I train them correctly. I can't shoot a photo like you or Rachel. And to me, it's just like, they're priceless, and you're going to book anyways. So I just feel like that's really being lost on some people who don't understand that this is a creative art form, mostly for photographers. Like, again, like florists, planners, they don't have that. But like, you're going to always be booked. I don't know. It's just frustrating. It's like a cyclical issue. I don't know.
Yeah. For me, I mean, I had one move to 2021. And like this couple, they lived in Beijing.
Wow.
She's a reporter for the Times. she was on the ground in Wuhan. Like,
Wow.
when this
He
happened.
sounds like a badass, damn.
Such a badass. Amy, if you were hearing this, I don't know why you would, but I love you. I'm your biggest fangirl. Then she's now in Taipei. He works for Google. Like, they were getting married in August, and there was like obviously no way. They were having family coming from China and everything. And I charged them a fee for a 21. And it's not easy for me to do that. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want any of this. But at the same time, like you were saying, Michael, like, we have to, and it's nowhere near, the fee I charged is nowhere near what I could have made if I would have booked another wedding on that date.
Right.
But it has to be something that I get paid now. Like, I charged the rebooking fee, they paid me it now, and then they'll pay me the final amount in 2021 when the wedding actually happens. Because it has to be something. It has to be something. Like, we're humans, but we're businesses.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you don't want to, but at the same, I don't feel like anyone is being opportunistic or trying to take advantage of the situation. It's just like, hey, we want to be around next year so we can shoot your wedding. So it's like we just have to make these decisions, and I think that's what it comes down to. Where if you're willing to kind of not compromise, but just
meet us halfway.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can still have an incredible day, a Friday wedding. You could cut the guest list a little bit. It's just like there's a lot of options.
I created an album for them too. Like, I gave them a little something. Like, we want to give as well. Like, they paid the extra rebooking fee, and I upgraded their album. Yeah. Like, they're getting a nicer, larger size album. So it's not like we have hearts. We're not. We're just like. So yeah, sorry to interrupt.
No, this is good. I feel like those right now are kind of some of the biggest questions. Are there any other ones that you guys have interacted or heard from your clients or people have asked that you would feel are relevant?
I had a client question if I'd be in business in 2021 after questioning the rebooking process. And I was like, dude, like, I can't answer this. And I'm not even charging a fee. I'm just asking for what you owed me originally.
Yeah.
And you can't have one without the other. And like, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it left such a crappy taste in my mouth. I felt like such a failure because I don't know the answer to that question. I'm fighting tooth and nail every day. Like, you don't think that's in the back of my head already? Like, can't you have this conversation with your fiance not on the phone with me? Like, it's just like, it really hit me hard, and I know it's not personal, and I know he didn't mean it like that, but it kind of ruined my day. And I was like, I don't even want to be around people like that, that don't trust me. I don't know.
It reminds me of a time where I had a couple ask me what happens if I died when they
happened to me before.
What? The hell?
Yeah, they're like, so what happens if like something like you die or you get like hit by a bus or something? And I'm like,
well, you think your wedding? Sorry, I'm gonna stop talking.
Yeah. So and again, like, I mean, maybe we in the recesses of our minds we have these thoughts, and we can't fault people for having thoughts or worries, especially in a time like this when we are like being vocal about the fact that our industry is in jeopardy and in danger. But there's just a time to maybe not ask somebody if they're still going to be in business when they're in the height of a pandemic and rescheduling 1,000 weddings a year.
Because it isn't just your wedding. There's 40 weddings, 50 weddings. Like, all of us have so many, and like, it's like a floodgate. You say yes to one with no fee, and then times that by 50, like, no shit, we're not going to be in business at that rate. Something's got to give here.
Yeah. I used to think about, or I don't know, this is how give me perspective too. I've been in the wedding industry for 10 years now. Like, I've been doing this. Michael, you've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this for a long time, and it just feels like I don't know, to me, I used to be like, I have such job security because people always get married. There's always weddings. Like, and I used to feel so invincible, but then I would also hold such anxiety going into a wedding or going into a wedding season because the importance of them and like just the stakes and everything were so high. And I feel like a good thing that can come out of this is that kind of maybe take a little bit of pressure off of the wedding industry and off of weddings and expectations in general.
Wow.
Like, you know, the not being like, I'm not going to have a Martha Stewart wedding and that's okay. And like, you know what I mean? Like the Pinterest, the expectations, like, because now that's all gone. Now people are just like scrapping and scrounging to just get married. And that is like what it all, like everything's just been chipped away.
Well, that's what I'm saying about the regrounding and realizing what's actually important in this. And one of the things that I always say to my couples, pandemic or no pandemic, is embrace imperfection all the time.
Right.
And if they roll their eyes at me or they, you know, I say it on my first phone calls with them, because if the response is adverse, then I know they're not my client. Because this is life, and your wedding is one of the most important days of your life, but also life isn't perfect. And so there's going to be shit that goes wrong. There's going to be shit that doesn't go as planned. We're there to make sure that nothing is catastrophic. But I think that this is reinforcing that even further and making people realize that, like, you know, celebrating with your friends and family and being surrounded by such love and happiness and being married at the end of the day, that's what's important. And to focus on that. So
and I think that's a great let's do one last question, and then because this is, I think it's been super helpful, even as emotional support, I think, for all of us.
I know, I feel like I feel so much better after getting some of that out there and hearing what you have.
You know, I think too, it's acknowledging, you know, it's always hard to admit when you're going through a hard time. And I think too, when you do, or you talk through how things are challenging, you realize it's challenging for everybody. And so, you know, I think choosing kindness too, you know, with your vendors, you know, acknowledging that, like, hey, it's hard for everybody. Unless you're Amazon, they're crushing it right now. But so what kind of trends, I mean, last thing, like, and I think too, I think Melissa, you kind of hit on the head, but how do you think weddings will change as a result of this? You know, like, you know, any new trends, like things that people can embrace in the new post-COVID era?
I think we're going to see a surge of little weddings, of elopements, of, you know, getting married in restaurants or smaller venues. I think we're going to see a huge surge of that. But then also, I think that this is just going to force people to really strip it down and like to consider what's very important to them and what is not when planning their wedding. And I don't think that everyone always does that, because like you get married and you're overwhelmed with Pinterest and blogs and magazines and like everyone telling you what you should and have to do for your wedding. So like it's so easy to get sucked up in that. And so I think that this is maybe gonna pull that back for everyone a little bit. So that's my opinion.
I agree. I also think, like, from a logistics standpoint, things will change. I was talking to another planner, and she was like, the whole dinner service might be different. Like, we're going to have to be preventative in containing stuff. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, look at family style. Like, that's probably not going to happen anymore. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I didn't even think of that. And then I was like,
eating a cookie.
I was like, but what about the cookie table? Like, the cookie table is immune to the coronavirus. And I was like, I hope so. So I'm interested. I don't know what logistics will be different, but I know they will probably change.
Yeah. I think with just like the smaller. It's smaller is just going to be so much less stressful on every single person, including the bride and groom, on the caterer, on this, on that, on this and that. And it's just smaller and safer.
Right.
Smaller and safer.
Agree. I think outdoor weddings, more smaller stuff where it's elopement style, where it's like you can still have really amazing pictures, a great experience. You can focus on the things that are super important to you, and then have a nice dinner with your family. As it just stuff that kind of, and again too, it comes down to like, we're still getting married, we still spend our lives together, still have a great day, and it's just a little different, and difference okay.
And the big party can come.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple who got married last May. They just got married in their backyard because they didn't want to wait. And they had their wedding booked for May 8th with me and a big reception and everything. And they just sent me their check in the mail, and they don't even have their wedding rescheduled because they said to me, they were like, well, you're the only like person we definitely are keeping, like you're MVP. So we'll have it sometime in December. We're already married. We're not that stressed about it. Like, it's fine. And their mindset was just like, and that could be everybody's mindset this year, is like, okay, we got married. It's small. It's fine. Now let's figure out the party. And yeah. It's just gotta be flexible and full of grace. Like, cause big, like, here's the reality. Big events might not come back for a long time. We don't know. But like, they canceled the freaking Arts Fest. They canceled 4th of July. Like, summer 2020 is canceled.
Yeah, no concerts or nothing.
But again, those are thousands and thousands and thousands of people, so it's different. I think things are going to open up, but at the same time, it's okay. It's just okay to change your expectations and your plans, and we're not going to fault you for that. But keep us around.
I like it. Well, thank you all so much. I think this was great. If people have questions, can they find you on the internet and DM, email, things like that? We'd love to hear from you. Drop a note. There should be comments, and if you have any questions, and we'll loop back around. But thank you all so much for jumping in. I hope this was helpful, and everyone have a great day.
I love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.